Anyway, I do think it's why there's like mass religion everywhere, because people are trying to control other people by promising something that they don't even know exists. Someone made something up because their pituitary gland went crazy when they had a sudden death yet sudden life experience where they died for a little bit and came back. Like, you have chemicals that react in your brain in order to give you a good last experience, you know? But it doesn't mean that there's something more special about the human species. Like, the only thing more special about us is that we could sympathize with a bad person, and that we could, what else was, I think that was like the only thing, honestly, like, because, you know, the monkeys make tools, use their thumbs, take care of their young, sometimes better than humans. They're more sympathetic and empathetic as well a lot of the times. Like, you know, they have classes, they have rules. The first rule of being like a snow monkey is you're not allowed to touch someone else's young, or else they'll kill you. I mean, I don't know why humans are so easily just be like, oh yeah, you know, touch my kid, watch my kid, whatever. There's too many kids. Like, don't we learn after a couple of generations of all these kids getting hurt? Like, you hear about it everywhere. Little girls get hurt, little boys get hurt, and it happens all the time, you know? And yet people are still like, oh yeah, I trust my caregiver who's raising my kid for me. Like, what? Like, when did this become a thing? Like, no one else was there when you made that baby. No one else was there when you had that baby. That baby is yours to raise. It's your responsibility. You know, that's the way I personally feel about it. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong for anyone else. Like, you know, I couldn't even imagine giving up my 3-month-old to a complete and total stranger. I don't care how well someone thinks that they know someone else. You don't know all the pages to anyone's stories, to anyone's books. People don't remember all the stuff that they did. They forget. I mean, after time, you're like, oh yeah, you know, you forget. Like, my daughter has done so many things already that I forget certain things. It's like, oh yeah, she went camping. We did go camping. Oh yeah, you know, like, obviously, I remember the splash mark very clearly, like, you know, stuff like that. But I am so grateful for my videos. And, you know, I am so grateful for the way that I am doing things for myself, because I know myself very well, as other people should know themselves very well. And in this day and age, I don't think that putting your kid on the internet or stuff like that is a bad thing, because we're surrounded by social media. It's everywhere. I mean, you can't really go to a party and like expect your kid not to be photographed or filmed somewhere anymore. It's kind of just the way that it works, and no one's being harmed by that. I mean, handing your kid over to another human being, people are being harmed by that every single day. I mean, even some like of the children's like own mothers, like, I heard this horrifying story of this mother stuffing her baby in a microwave, like, you know, because she's just had enough and no one was there to help her. Like, her husband should have been there. But I mean, the husband, like, sometimes, you know, we're mammals. We're mammals. That's what we are. And sometimes the fathers do horrible things too, just like in the Mammalian Kingdom. Like, rabbits will kick the male out of the nest because they need to have their babies and take care of their babies, and the male will eat them because the female's having a baby. Like, you know, males in the animal kingdom, just like in our animal kingdom, because we are animals, they take a long time to adjust to having children. A long, arduous time. They take a long time. Like, James is getting a little bit better, and I'm hoping he's better next year. Like, he's obviously not home right now. But like, you know, it takes men a long, long time, and you have to give them the time and the space to be like, oh yes, you know, this is what we're doing. We're having children. We're doing this now. You know, like, you know, women, we have all this time. We conceive the baby. We carry the baby. We have the baby. We feed the baby. We are the baby's everything. We are everything to our children. And our job is to be there while they're young. No one has a child to stuff it in daycare or to hand it off. I mean, I honestly, I don't think that We have children. Like, that's why women always stayed home with the kids. We have the kids, stay home with the kids. That's why it was always women stay home and men go to work. I know there was a misconception in one of the tribes that the women would go out and hunt for the meat and the men would stay home and nurse the babies. That is not true. There are tribes where men do nurse the babies, but the women were just dressing in men's clothing and the men were wearing feathers in their hair and dressing up and going out and killing the other animals in fancier clothes. That's all it was. And it was just like, oh, well, look at these must be women. They're not women, they're men. Women don't have the upper body strength to be able to do that. I'm sorry, we don't. We are different from men. We have lower body strength to be able to push our babies out. Like when I had my daughter, oh my gosh, it was such a enlightening and empowering and awesome event. Like I can't believe that so many women are robbed of this natural and awesome, awesome event in their lives because the doctors are like, oh, we're going to induce you. You know what that does? The baby's not ready. Your body is not ready. You're not ripe yet. You're not ready to push out that baby. That baby wants to still be inside of you, still develop and grow. I see the advantage that my daughter has over the other kids. My daughter is 9 out of 10 times. We met a little boy who was born on the 10th. Granted, I did a lot of educational stuff from the day that she was born because I know that gives kids the top-notch advantage. Day 1, reading. Day 1, your baby can learn. Day 1, doing the signing. Day 8, doing potty training. Like, my daughter has a crazy, crazy advantage on her peers right now. And I don't think it's going to slow down because we're just progressing with the advantages that she has. She knows what a rhombus is. She knows what colors are. She knows what shapes are. She knows what letters are. She knows what signing is. She knows a varied amount of information that she is gathering. And it's awesome to be able to sign the word black to her and her to say black, or to sign purple and her say purple, or sign white and have her say white. The verbal skills that she is gaining to be able to show me and tell me that she understands what I am teaching her is amazing. These Christopher Mouse books, as James called them, the Just Ask books, are going to be a fundamental building block to her knowledge. Her Bob, she got those for her. James's mother, Renee, got those for her. And she only got like a 14 pack of them, but she did get them for him. And I'm very grateful that she got them. We don't talk to James's mother a lot. James's mother has made a lot of mistakes. We're not close to her. James isn't close to her. But, yeah, I would never hand my baby off to her. James wouldn't either. But, like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. That side of the family is really, really hard. They're kind of mean, kind of aggressive, I mean, James is kind of a temper. Like, where do you think he learned it? You know, like, he didn't outgrow it. He didn't move on from it. He just kind of still has it. But, like, it's hard. But she did. Like, she did get her the Christopher Mouse books. I call them that because James calls them that. But, so we're working on collecting that set because that really is a fundamental building block in her development. All the books that she has all those books because that is a fundamental development skill. If you don't have a lot of books around, your child doesn't have as much opportunity to learn things because they just don't have the materials readily available to them. Like when we read through the dictionary, like a alligator, like, when we're reading through the dictionary and learning about all the animals and, A through Z, and she's sitting there and she's absorbing that is awesome. I couldn't imagine not having like a dictionary or two for my kid. All those nighttime stories that we read, she loves them. Like, stories, books, it doesn't matter where you get the books for. I got a lot of my books for free. Crafts, showing kids smaller pieces to larger pieces. I really need to get her magnetic blocks. James doesn't want the magnetic blocks. He's afraid that she's going to have them around the computer and somehow the magnetic blocks are going to get stuck in his computer and break it. And I'm like, it might happen though. I know that. But if we could keep the magnetic blocks in the bedroom and not scattered around the house, she needs magnetic blocks to be able to see the magnetics, and north and south we read the magnetic books, but it's nice to her to be able to see it. Like, we need a periodic table, we have a United States map, we have a world map, we have all that stuff, because they're fundamental building blocks for kids. I know that parents don't normally start becoming their child's like really really first teacher until like they're 4, 5, 6, because that's when the communication skills really set in well. But if you do it from day one, before 2 months old, if your child had dyslexia when it was born, it will no longer have dyslexia as a young child. It'll be a fabulous reader. You need to work on absorbing knowledge and information from reading, because they will be so quick. But it really does give your kid head and shoulders advantage. Study smarts above other kids. You don't have to do that though. Like, every kid is very smart in the way that they're smart, and they all do awesome things. Like, I'm not saying you have to sit down and do all this stuff with your kid, but it does give them a school advantage. And if they have that advantage in the book smarts, then they'll have advantage for the rest of their lives, because they'll be the ones like, oh yeah, can I type this? More than likely, if they're great readers, they're great spellers, they're great typers, they have Karina would be able to work anywhere probably as she got older, as we develop her skills further and start further into the future. If I homeschool her, I'm hoping that she'd be graduated by 16. Even if she decided to go into like a normal school system, like say she was 8 and was like, oh, mama, I just want to, go and play with friends and, not really worry about, too much schooling, because, they're going to be repeating stuff from 1st to 4th grade anyway in the school system. And then 5th grade is a little bit different, because it prepares you for middle school. 6th and 7th grade is about the same. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th are all different, because you have so many extracurricular activities. You have so many activities within the school that there's just so much you choose from. Like, I remember I did electronics, and I did woodworking, and I did I never took any study halls. Like, by the time I graduated, I had so many points built up. It was unbelievable. I could have given half my points to my brother, and he could have graduated with me. But instead he had to go to another school to graduate early. But with me, but earlier than what he would have. Anyway, but yeah, it's just there's so many opportunities in homeschooling that you don't really get in a public school, and yet there's other opportunities that you get from a trade school that I wouldn't be able to really do with her at a homeschool level. So I mean, it all depends. Like, say she wanted to go into nursing. Like, honestly, I'm hoping that she says, well, in 9th grade, I want to go into nursing, or I want to go, because nursing isn't going to die out, and nurses make a lot of money. So, even if she wanted to do that, that would be perfect. I'm hoping that if she goes to college, that she'll go to Denmark where it's free. She'll go to Germany where it's free. Like, she'll go to, I honestly don't want to make it in Germany. I still have that, Germany. But, Germany is, it's a part of, it's a great society, and they're great people, and the whole 1943 thing was just one man, I don't know, but being like dictatorish, I don't know, and everything else over there, but yeah, but I mean, they do have free schools, if she gets a good education over there, that'd be perfect too. And it's just, it's whatever your kid wants to do. Like, I fully believe that you should support your kid in what they want to do. I fully believe that you shouldn't hand your kid a bunch of stuff, though. Like, when I grew up, I earned everything. Like, even to the point where when I earned something, sometimes I didn't even get it then, Like, I think if you hand your kid too much stuff, they'll become too entitled. There's my baby sleeping. And I don't want my kid to be like, well, I deserve this because I did that. Well, did you earn it? Like, okay, I'm glad that you did something, but did you earn it yet? Like, I try to explain that to James, like, because he's like, oh, I have money. We don't have any money. He was like, well, I earn it, and, I could do whatever I want with it sometimes. And I'm just like, no, we don't have any money. You're not there yet. We didn't earn that freedom yet, but we will earn it. We have our trailer. We're looking for a $5,000 to $9,000 piece of land, and we are going to move our trailer onto that land, and then we are going to pay property taxes, and we're going to pay off our debt, and we're going to be free. I'm trying to make a budget balance, but I can't seem to make it work. I need to cut $200, $277 somewhere. The food budget can be cut, probably. And I don't need gifts for anyone. I don't know why I have gifts on there. All my gifts are free anyway. And I do $5 bag day, which I guess would come out of low money, but I get it out of the grocery money. I get everything out of grocery money. Like, I do the bills, and we save the rest. And, if we have $5, that's great. That and I do surveys. So, I mean, if I go down and make $13, I could go down and spend $5, or $10, and then I sell things. So, like, say something of mine sells. I just had 2 things sell the other day on eBay. I made $40 or something small. But still, I'm going to get a $40 check in the mail. Last check was $241. The check before that was $91. I'm going to go down to do a $5 bag day. I'm going to gather things. I'm going to sell my things on eBay. And I'm going to keep the other things that I actually wanted for the house. So, I mean, treasure hunting really does do you well. Like, say you find a trinket that's worth $40, you get $20 off of that. I don't gather trinkets. I try to be minimal for myself, but when it comes to my kid, I want her to have the projector and Play-Doh and clay and all this stuff. I want her to have all this stuff, and yet I don't want to overwhelm her at the same time. But I mean, books, we can never have too many books. So I was supposed to go to the laundromat today. I did not go to the laundromat today. Instead, I stayed home. I tried to wake up James. He wouldn't wake up. I tried to wake up him again. I made him coffee. He wouldn't wake up. When he finally got up, he was like, I was supposed to be up at 1:30. I'm like, yep. He was like, what happened to my alarm? I'm like, I shut it off and gave you coffee. And he's like, you should have left it on. I don't know if Karina was actually asleep at that point in time or if I just shut it off. Because I was like, well, Karina was asleep. But then I was thinking about it later. I'm like, I don't think she was sleeping yet. But, yeah, I don't know. So I made him coffee, and he didn't wake up, and I tried to wake him up over and over again. He didn't get up till almost 4. I think it was 4:11. And then he went out, he threw a little hissy fit because his plans were ruined for the day because he thought that Wayne wasn't going to call back or whatever. And I'm like, you can't act like this. And he was like, well, I'm just disappointed. And so, I let him do his thing. And then Wayne called back, and Wayne's like, okay. So, the guys are out, they're fishing. Hopefully he brings home some fish. And if not, that's fine too. And if they're not fishing because of the weather, then they're at his house playing video games. So, they're working on things. They're relaxing. They're sitting, so they're building testosterone because they're men, and that's what men do. Men like to sit. So, it always frustrates me too because men and women are so different. I'll be running around doing stuff, and James is like, just sit down, just sit down, just sit down. And I'm like, I don't want to sit down. When I sit down, I think about all the stuff I want to get done. Doesn't work the same with men. Men sit down, and their mind goes blank, and all of a sudden they're sitting, and they're relaxing, and they're like, yep, this is what we do. So, and James doesn't get that disconnect that we have because he's like, well, I try to do you a favor by telling you to sit down. I'm like, this is the only time my child is sleeping by herself. I have so many things to do. You can't tell me to just sit down with you. And but then again, I'm like, well, I should be sitting with him because he wants to spend time with me. So, it's hard. It's hard. It really is. I'm not going to have another kid for another couple of years because one baby at a time is perfect. I think if I added another baby to the mix, it would be too much for me. And then I don't want to need extra helping hands. I don't want to need anyone's help or feel like I need someone's help to raise my children. I have my daughter right now. My daughter's perfect. We go out everywhere. I'm able to handle her to and from everything. There's never anything that I need help with, and I carry her on me. She is always with me. So I know that she's safe. I know that no one's touching her. I know that I have her. If I added another baby to the mix, what would I do with Karina? Would she be walking beside me? Is she old enough to walk beside me and hold my hand without me actually paying full on attention to her with me holding her hand? Or I couldn't imagine having another baby right now. My baby is only 19 months old, and she is a tiny little baby. I know people are like, oh my gosh, she's such a so big. People want their babies to grow up so fast, and it's like, no. They're your baby once. And then adults, like parents, adult parents to adult children, quote unquote, because they're not children anymore, they're not adults, are like, oh my gosh, you're my baby forever. It's like, if they're your baby forever, why didn't you treat them like a baby when they were a baby? You know, like, they're not your baby forever. They grow up, it changes realms, they have their own family, they're adults now, they do whatever they want. Like, it, to me, the society is so backwards. You have your kids from 0 to 18. That's it. That's it. And then they're gone. They're gone for you pretty much forever. I mean, there's never going to be another time after 18 that they're going to come home and live with you for a long period of time and, you know, be like, oh, hey, Ma, let's, you know, go to the museum. Let's go to the park. Let's, you know, go swing on the swings. Let's whatever. Let's read books together. Let me sit in your lap and I'll read your books. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. You might as well take the time that you have for it to happen at the appropriate time. I couldn't imagine. Oh my gosh. Last year, around this time, we went to Thanksgiving at Aunt's house. It was horrible. It was horrible, dude. It was horrible. But we did. And I wasn't allowed to nurse my baby. Can you imagine that? Eating is not a privacy issue. Eating is, we are mammals. The more people that see other people eating and having it be like normal and not shameful, we need that in our society. We need it. But an adult woman, she's like 36 or something, and sitting on a grown man's lap. He's like 60 something. He acts like a predator, but like, that doesn't even matter. But like, sitting on his lap, cradling her in his arms. It's like you had a time and a place for this, and this is not the time or the place. Way too old, way too creepy, way too weird, way too no. Like, I had to sit there and witness that and avert my eyes to it because I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, let's see what's going on, like, over here. Like, oh my gosh. It was the they have the creepiest relationship. It is so weird. Like, to see a grown man pat a grown woman's butt who is not his wife. So weird. Out of this world. Unbelievably weird. Like, I don't know. I couldn't do it. But, like, I won't even kiss my daughter on the lips. We don't kiss on the lips. We don't do kisses. We don't do, like, that stuff is, lips are meant for partners, not for your children. That's the way I feel about it. It's like, you spread so many billions of bacteria between mouths. Like, my daughter does feed me, but I need, right now, her saliva to make my milk. You know, that's the way that it works. And I get it from my pituitary gland when she nurses. That's the way that it works. You know, but, you know, like, to me, that's not creepy or weird because all children do the birding thing. And, oh, James is home. My baby is home, my baby is home. And, but, like, you know, it's just the weirdest thing ever. Alright, well, I guess that's it for my update for right now. I'm just sitting here rambling anyway while my baby sleeps. And James is home.
Asleep?
She's in my arms asleep. Yeah, isn't that cute? She is. She's absolutely perfect. I don't think I can make this budget work.